and telling it it's wrong on an issue of enormous importance when it says otherwise. One of the people that's influenced me the most since I entered the field in '96 is our speaker. Because of his intensity, because of his intelligence, because of his indomitable will, his absolute perseverance, this is what you have to be a change agent. I only aspire to this level. It's critical in times like these, and they don't come along very often, that change agents have got to have the support of the public. And in the modern world, with all the tools we have, it's never been easier to do that. One way you support is to come and listen. I really appreciate that you have. And so, if you would, a very loud round of applause to a very powerful man, Dr. Stephen Greer.
Do these come loose? I'm going to walk around. All right. I can hold two at once. Thank you very much, Steve Bassett, and a round of applause for him for the enormous work. I know what it goes into. Now, y'all ready for this? I was at the Pentagon a couple years ago talking to an admiral over there about this who had been shut out of information that he thought he should have access to, and he should have. And he says, well, I just want the truth. And I went into my Jack Nicholson mode. You remember A Few Good Men when he turns to that really pissy lawyer, Tom Cruise, and says, you can't handle the truth. And love that. This issue is very complex. We only have a few minutes here. But in a nutshell, we have enough evidence way beyond what they had for Monica Gate to open up a serious inquiry into a subject which has been the butt of many jokes and ridicule for over 50 years. Many of the military witnesses that have come forward in the Disclosure Project are people who said they never wanted to come forward because of the fear of ridicule from the media and from the powers that be, aside from the fact that some of them have been threatened with being erased. Now, if you get the Disclosure book and tapes that we have out here, and by the way, we had a benefactor give us a huge donation so that we could basically give those out at cost, so they're very inexpensive. It's a 600-page book. It has the transcripts of 69 of these military and intelligence and corporate witnesses. If you don't have it, get one, get a case, and put it in your library and get the word out. We have the smoking guns. We have the documents. We have the first-hand corroborating testimony. There is physical evidence. It's all there. The problem is, and I had this conversation with a number of people in the Congress, the reason this thing is still secret isn't because it's silly. It's because it's so profound. The implications of the fact that, number one, that these UFOs are real, which anyone with an IQ over mud can figure out. But number two, that, in fact, we not only have been in possession of materiel associated with these craft, but have figured out how they operate. If you go all the way back to the 1950s, early 50s, and look at the Walter, the memo from Canada, I don't know if you remember this, it's in the book, and it clearly states in this top secret memo that I understand got inadvertently declassified by the Canadian government, we have, at that time, in 1950, 51, 52, before we detonated the first hydrogen bomb, a project that was studying the, quote, modus operandi, the means of operating these so-called UFOs. And the project was so classified, Dr. Vannevar Bush and a team of his people were working on it, that it was restricted more than the development of the hydrogen bomb. And I'm quoting, paraphrasing from this document. This is an official document, undisputed. It's not one that has any question about its authenticity. Think about what that means. What it means is that since Eisenhower, there has not been an intact chain of command over this subject. And let me tell you how dangerous that is. You've got a kleptocracy. This is my ungenerous term for the folks controlling the secrecy on this issue. You have a kleptocracy that has arrogated to itself the right to not only know this information, but to withhold the technologies from the public, which, if they could be put into application for peaceful uses, would enable us to say adios to Saudi Arabian oil. It would enable us to completely end global warming, begin a new era in environmental sustainability, and would eliminate poverty within our lifetime, within 20 years. Totally eliminate poverty. I have used the term recently in a position paper. It's up on our website, disclosureproject.org, where I used the term planeticide, that things have gotten so bad that we're at the point now where, with malice aforethought and utter greed and stupidity, information and technologies are being withheld from the public that are necessitating our cannibalization of Gaia, of Mother Earth. And this cannot continue. This has to end. So the Disclosure Project and a company that I put together called Space Energy Access Systems is working to get in the former, the information out to the public, and in the latter, to try to identify and bring out the technologies through a clean, non-black operation to the public. It isn't easy. Because we're doing this with $3.85 or thereabouts. And it's an enormous thing that we're taking on. Back in 1993, after I had started an organization called the Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence, we had successfully sent rapid response teams to Belgium, to Mexico, throughout the United States and other places, where we had made contact with these objects at fairly close range. The results of that were that the head of Army Intelligence and a few other spooks called me in and said, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "Well, don't you think it's time that the people take this matter into their own hands since you've messed it up so badly?" He looked at me. He says, "Who the hell are you?" I said, "Well," he says, "you have no right to be doing this." I said, "Of course I do. I'm a denizen of Earth. And besides, my mother's family were some of the original founders of the United States. And moreover, when she used to brag about that, my dad would say, well, hell, we were waiting for the damn Mayflower to get here because he's half Cherokee Indian." So he's passed on. God bless him. But the fact is, we do have a right to know this information, and we have a need to. And when I've been asked by, all kinds of powerful people, why is this really being kept secret? I said, well, there's a whole constellation of issues. But it really has to do about power and how the world runs. It's power. Now, people think it's money. Money, look, I need money because I have 4 daughters and I got to put them through college and this sort of thing. That's money. Power is something else. All right, when you start talking about a multi-trillion-dollar segment of the world's economy that is a centralized oil and electric grid and fossil fuels, and that is the engine that runs the entire economy. And this information about these things you see pictures of flying around the sky, if the information that we know is extant is released to the public, it will very quickly find its way into technological applications, which will also mean goodbye ExxonMobil, goodbye public utilities. We won't need them. Now, you applaud. But how many of you have 401ks invested in some of these companies?